25th meeting to order. First item on the agenda, July 11th minutes. Any changes?
I have none.
I see none.
All right, next item on the agenda, financial statement from June 2024.
Thank you. This is financial summaries of revenue and expenditures for the city of Hayes, month ended June 30, 2024. Revenues in June totaled $10.9 million. That's a decrease of $82,000 when we compare to that same period last year. So notable areas of increased revenue compared to June of 2023, the $917,000 increase in miscellaneous for the Airport Improvement Fund includes CARES and the SRE building funding. $10,000 received from Purple Wave auction increased miscellaneous for the new equipment reserve for Kubota tractors and mowers sold. And water consumption for residential was up 24%, with business up 23%, increasing total water revenue $64,000. Year-to-date, total consumption is up 6%, with revenue up 4.6%. One notable area of revenue decrease, federal aid fell $124,000 for an airport rescue grant received at this time last year. Expenditures in June totaled $7.5 million. That's a decrease of $199,000. A notable area of increased expenditure, new equipment reserve was up $35,500 for the purchase of a Kubota RTV. Design of the multi-use path increased the projects line for special parks $34,300, and projects in the water reserve was also up $117,000 for ongoing water line improvements. Notable areas of decreased expenditure, several mid-year transfers were foregone until later in the year, including a total of $677,000 in the CVB. Cart path replacement at this time last year at the golf course dropped golf course improvement expenditures $20,000, and timing of the payment to NPR for property and liability coverage dropped the insurance and surety line $330,000. Month-to-date, general fund sales tax collections were at $765,000. That's a decrease of $14,000 or 2% when compared to last year. Year-to-date, sales tax collections were at $4.7 million, down $65,000 or 1.4% as compared to last year. The 6-month average is flat, which was a year-over-year decrease of 5.3%. Year-to-date, county sales tax collections are at $557,000. The report of top 10 quarter-to-date sales tax collections by classification was up $40,600 or 1%. Those top 10 represent 75% of the total sales tax collections for the running quarter. Finally, the total par value of the U.S. Treasuries for June was $25,255,000 with a weighted average yield to maturity of 4.7%, up 1.4% from a year ago. The total of the portfolio of certificates of deposit on June 30 was $41,172,914 with a weighted average rate to maturity of 5%. Total balance of the money market account on June 30 was $5 million with a current yield of 4.158, up 1.6% from a year ago, and total investments were down $3,284,094.
Move approval of financial statement.
Total.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Reuter. Comments?
So total investments were down. That's just, what's the explanation?
Mostly some R9 expenditure,
Okay.
some new equipment reserve expenditure,
Okay.
timing of some salaries. There was a second payroll a month earlier. Some accounts payable items. It's a mixture. It's not any one thing necessarily, but several things. And you're comparing from a year ago.
Right.
So
Yep. Okay.
Anything else?
So in telecommunications, I see that they're the biggest decrease outside of new and used car parts or dealers and parts. Do we know why that is?
in telecommunications, I'm sorry?
They're the largest decrease over April, May, and June.
So I think that's still, if I recall correctly, that's still some of that 5G that was going on a year ago.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I just want to, you touch on the sales tax being down, which I guess it looks concerning, but, we've had, and correct me if I'm wrong here, 4 really good years of sales tax growth. That being said, we need to get it turned around because that's what we rely on. But You know, ever since 2020, we had tremendous growth, and I think it'll come back, but I think that's just the economy right now. I don't think we need to be concerned, but, you know, we are behind the scenes doing a lot of stuff to, you know, not too long ago, you know, Hayes posted an article on us trying to get more retail in town, and I think that's important. If we get people in town for all the events, we need them shopping here, and that's why we continue to look at that. But I'm not extremely concerned, but, you know, we see this another 6 months, maybe. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, Toby?
I think you should be cautious but not concerned.
Cautious,
You know, the 4 good years of sales tax did allow us to do some things that we've been wanting to do to make sure our employees are paid well. And it also gave you a bit of a buffer to, you know, incur any reductions like this. Obviously, you know, that buffer only lasts for so long, so
Right.
it is concerning if it'll last. You know, if this time next year we're talking about the trend being down, it'll be concerning then.
I think you said something important, though, Mayor, and that is that the more events we have in this community, the better it's going to get. And I don't see anything but positive things happening out at the sports complex. So as much as we grew this year in tournaments, if we grow that much again next year, it's going to be phenomenal. So I don't see any reason why it won't. Our guys are taking great care of everything.
Just as I've been sitting here a few minutes ago, very preliminarily, it looks like July, we were back up. Year-to-date brings us flat. So
Good.
Good.
Good. So,
I was going to ask that question, but then I was afraid to.
very, very quickly.
you know,
Quick turnaround, Sean. Good job.
I just knew it was going to happen. But, you know, recently I had a quick meeting today, and, you know, one thing, I agree, the sports complex brings a lot, but I also don't want to rely on just that, because if we do, you know, it just, you know, my kids have done travel league for many years, and you have these ups and downs, you know. This year you may have 10 new teams at 10U or 12U, and next year you may have no. So I hope we don't rely on just that, because if we do, I think we could be in trouble. But I know we're not. So it's, you know, but it is good. The more, you know, when you're getting 60 to 80 teams there a weekend, that's a lot of people spending a lot of time.
A lot of people.
A lot of people. So, okay, call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda would be citizen comments for non-agenda items. And then we'll move on to consent agenda. We have a mayor appointment recommendation, and I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. That would be for the Housing Authority, Patricia Makings, 4-year term. Mark Junk, Hayes Rec Commission, 4-year term.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Reuter, second by Commissioner Cunningham. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you, Toby. Next item on the agenda would be nuisance abatement for 515 East 11th Street.
Good afternoon, Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works. First item I have for your consideration today would be discussion of a general nuisance abatement for the property at 515 East 11th. The property does currently have several what we consider nuisance items by ordinance that are in violation of city ordinance on the property. To this point, proper notifications have been given to the owner as well as the tenant who resides at the property. There's been little action taken to resolve any issues. I will show you some pictures in a minute, and compared to last week, there are some improvements, but not anywhere near what it takes to get it removed from the agenda. So if we do have to move forward, as with all nuisance cases, and if items do indeed have to be removed by the city, any costs that are incurred will be billed to the property. Just a quick point here, there have been 10 general nuisance and or inoperable vehicle code cases since 2020 on the property. I don't believe any of those have gotten forward to abatement. They've been resolved by either the property owner or the tenants during those different cases. So I'll start back with the older pictures first. This is what we were looking at late this past spring. Here's a picture from April, so you can see various pictures, various items within the pictures. Some of those items are still remaining. Some of them have moved around. This was a little over, let's see, yeah, July 11th here, so a couple weeks ago here. And last week, the morning of the work session, we took photos here. And then from this morning, so you can see, and if you really take time to study the different pictures, so if you look at this one here from today, I guess one more from today here, you can see some of the items have moved around. Most of them are still there. Maybe some are gone, maybe some are new. Like I say, it's hard to look at this picture and say there's slight improvement, but there actually is. But same with this one as well. So, based on your discussion, these will be your options to either approve the resolution. If the resolution is approved, it would allow city staff or the city's contractors to remove the items from the property at a minimum wait of 10 days after the signing of the resolution. And this would be the action requested should you move it forward.
I move approval of resolution number 2024-015 to abate nuisance items located on the property at 515 East 11th Street 10 days after the approval date.
Second. We're all gunshot.
I think they're all sleeping today.
I was going to look down and see if anybody's awake. Are you there?
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Reuter. Any comments? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, 27th and Main Street Edition, final plat.
Okay, so this item, I wanted to discuss with you a property that's being considered for redevelopment located at 27th and Main Street. So the property, general location of the property would be the intersection, be the southwest corner of the intersection of 27th and Main, as you can see highlighted there on the screen. It does lie on the west side of Main, west of the cemetery, and south of 27th Street. So the property is in consideration for redevelopment, and it is city-owned currently. The city has proposed a plat, working with the developer on the property. The plat includes the addition of 26th Street through the center of the development. And I'm going to bump up one slide here that shows the image as well. So 26th Street would intersect with Main, and then it would also line up with the existing block of 26th Street there between Fort Nash on the west side of this development. There would be a total of 4 lots for the property, or for the development, 3 on the north side of 26th and 1 on the south side. Property is also being considered for rezoning. I think that's our next agenda item, actually, so we'll talk about the zoning and the uses of the property during that item. There is an existing alley on the south side of the property that will remain, and the item has been before the Planning Commission and was unanimously approved. It was also before the Utility Advisory Committee and city staff for review, and there were no known issues remaining or on the plat at all. So your options would be to either approve the plat, as the Planning Commission did. You could request any changes that you might want or desire in the plat, or do not approve the plat. This would be the action moving forward.
I move to approve resolution number 2024-016, accepting the 27th and Main Street Edition final plat.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Reuter, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Any comments? Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, rezoning property at 27th and Main Street from Public and Institutional District P, is that PI?
Yeah.
To Neighborhood Shopping District, District C1, and Residential Multifamily RM.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about the same parcel of property. We're still talking about the property at 27th and Main. Except now, besides the platting and subdivision of the property, we want to also rezone the property. So currently it's Public and Institutional District, or PI. That was in place when it was still owned by the Diocese of Salina, when the plan was for an expansion of the cemetery at the location. However, they sold the property to the city Hayes, and now we're looking to rezone it for other types of development. What we're looking at is dividing it up into 2 different zoning districts. The north part, or what would be everything north of the new 26th Street, would be C1, it was a neighborhood shopping district. And then RM would be the south portion, or residential multifamily. Again, here's just a zoning exhibit. I do want to back up a couple, so let's see, right here. One talk, just real quickly, the map on the left here is our existing zoning map, current zoning. Most of the property along the south and west side is currently zoned residential, and there is some commercial that abuts kind of adjacent to on the northeast part of the property. but quite a bit of residential. And that's why we looked at the C1 versus C2. C1 is a kind of a buffer commercial area that lies between residential and general commercial. And so it's more, C1 is more your type of service-oriented type businesses that fit well within residential areas. So banks, offices, dentist offices, any type of those kind of service places, as well as retail that can go in a C1. So, but it's a little more lighter uses than your general C2 districts. So again, this was also taken before the Planning Commission. We did conduct a public hearing, and it was, again, unanimously approved by the Planning Commission. Your options here, very specific per state law, either approve the zoning as was requested by the Planning Commission, send it back to the Planning Commission for consideration, or you could overturn it if enough of you agree to do so. This will be the action requested.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4054, approving the rezoning request from Public and Institutional District PI to Neighborhood Shopping District C1 and Residential Multifamily RM for the property located at 27th and Main Street as legally described.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrick, second by Commissioner Cunningham. You okay with the amount of people who have to vote on this?
Well, I think we could probably.
I know it was an issue last week.
It was, yeah, I know.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Passes 5-0. And still a Jesse show. Next item on addition, Depot Edition Final Plat.
Okay, so another development we want to talk about now, this is what we're calling the Depot Edition Final Plat. So this property is generally located at 10th and Walnut in downtown Hayes, so it is adjacent location to the former Union Pacific Railroad train depot. City-owned property, been owned for many, many years. And by platting the property, will allow for redevelopment of the property, and there is a planned development that the city is working with the developer on currently. So here's the plat. It's pretty busy. I don't expect you to see all the numbers, so I'll bump it up here just a little bit. So the property we're talking about are within the two red boxes here. The property, or the plat, is comprised of 2 lots. The lots currently are comprised of what was kind of the parking area there for the Union Pacific Railroad train depot. It does lie just north of 10th Street. Walnut Street will dead end at the alley, so Walnut Street will not go through to 10th with this replat. There are easements that will remain in place for existing utilities between the 2 lots. 10th Street will remain a through street, and there will be other improvements, like say with the development of the property that you'll see, such as resurfacing of the alley, probably some street work as well, along with some utility work. So here's just a general concept. Could be on the property. Like I say, nothing solidified yet. However, we're moving towards a development of this type, if platted. The property is currently zoned adequately to allow such development of multifamily housing. And this one, again, after discussion with the Planning Commission, they had no issues with the plat, and neither did the Utility Advisory Committee. All utilities for this one are in place already, especially the franchise utilities, gas, electric, all that. Those types are all in place already. So it's a good infill project. We'd like to see the infill where we're not necessarily building new streets or new utilities. And so these will be your options moving forward, and action requested.
I move to approve resolution number 2024-017, accepting the Depot Edition Final Plat.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Barrick. Any comments?
Jesse, I just have 2 questions. Is that an alley that goes between the 2 properties at, sorry, let me go back to the map. Is that 11th and,
So,
yeah,
on the north
in
side.
between 10th and 11th, though, is that?
Yeah,
those-
there's an existing through alley that runs from Elm Street to Ash, right there.
And that'll still be accessible all the way
Bypasses
across?
Walnut, goes to Ash. That alley will remain, and through the project, the plan is to improve it. It's currently a gravel alley, and it will likely be a hard surface concrete alley when complete. If the development as planned occurs, there'll be some parking that is accessed off that alley.
Okay.
So again, the concrete surface will allow for better access during inclement weather, and so again, that'll be part of the project.
And Walnut will still come up to that alley before it dead ends?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Jesse, you brought up a question. You say hard surface. How do we determine that would become a hard surface and not gravel?
It's going to be a concrete alley. So our general policy is for properties like this that would have their sole access to their required parking, take access off of an alley. Alleys, as you know, they're meant for utilities and light access. When you start having that kind of access, that number of vehicles requires additional surfacing, in this case, concrete surfacing. So we're working with the developer, and that'll be part of the project, along with some city share on that as well for the ends that are outside of the boundary of the actual development.
That makes sense.
Thank you.
As I stated last week, I'm really excited about this. I've been waiting for this to happen for a long time. We've had a lot of good housing coming, but this is going to say big university to me when it's sitting right outside the university. The only thing I'm sad about is the depot isn't across the street anymore, because I'd have bought it and made it a bar and restaurant. It would have been, I made a lot of money. But it is very sad that it's not there. But it's great use of that property. I'm thrilled to see that happen. Mike, we continue to appreciate your investment in this community. It's really stellar, and the work that you do and the kind of properties you put up, it's very exciting, and I'm glad this property is happening. So,
I'm going to echo what you just said. Mr. Graham, you've developed a lot of apartments lately, and I know many of us, maybe all of us, had a chance to tour them, and they're perfect for what Hayes needs. It's a fit. There's a lot of people that, I've talked to people that have moved to town, whether it's hospital, they don't necessarily want to own a house, but these are nice apartments, and I think they're great. It's a great fit where you're putting it, and I think it's going to help not only downtown, but just that area. So thank you.
the aesthetics are
Yeah,
beautiful.
thank you for investing in our community. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, the Grove Plan Development.
All right, last one for me. So the last development, lots of developments today, but the last one is one we've heard a lot about. We've been before you many times for different items regarding the Grove. So this is the final step in the planning process, and so this is what we call approval of the plan development. So just in case someone isn't familiar with the location of the property, it is located at the southeast corner of 27th and Canterbury. Is outlined in the red box here on the screen. It's north of Hayes Medical Center and the Center for Health Improvement, and like I say, south of 27th Street. So we're working with the developer on this one. As you know, it has been platted, it has been zoned, it has been annexed. There's other financial incentive things in the works as well, which I think you'll hear about later in this meeting. However, the last part of the planning is what's known as the plan development. So a plan development gives the developer some flexibility in how they develop as opposed to a standard plat. And at the same time, it kind of semi-locks them into a certain type of development, a certain look of structure, a certain layout, while again, still providing them enough flexibility to make some minor changes if they have fit to do so. So all in all, the property there will be approximately 40 to 60 single-family homes, 18 to 16 duplexes, 36 or possibly up to 72 apartment units. Again, that flexibility was built in so that we don't have to worry about changes later or changes coming back to the Planning Commission or City Commission for minor changes. In addition to the living units, there's also a community center that is proposed. In fact, there was a groundbreaking here just a couple weeks ago on the property for that, and I believe that'll kick off here very soon. So a couple portions I'll mention specifically. This will be the northwest corner of the development. This is the kind of the area planned for the multifamily housing or the apartment structures. On the right there, you can see an example of what one of the apartment structures may look like. Again, the 40 to 60 single-family homes. These will primarily be entry-level, no basement homes, garden-style homes. We'll move on. Oh yeah, the community center. Again, most of us are familiar with the community center. That's coming up here pretty quick. And so, again, this process, besides the plat was the first part in the process, and then we went to the planning commission for the plan development. There was quite a bit of discussion with the planning commission level over the plan development. Kind of like what's been said here, they're very excited about this project, ready for this project to get going and see probably a little bit different type of development than what we've seen here in the past. So the options on this one would be to approve the plan development as submitted, recommend any changes, or not approve. This would be the action requested.
I move we approve the Grove Plan Development as submitted.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Reuter. Comments?
I made a comment last week, and I appreciate the comments you make, Jesse, about the flexibility within this plat. I know that Grow Hayes and staff are always looking at the optimal way to do things, and I want to be sure that there's some, if they have an opportunity for change, or a change opportunity, I should say, that's not going to be held to what we have seen here tonight.
Right, that is correct. And so the Unified Development Code that we work within, it does provide the zoning administrator some leeway for certain changes. It kind of puts a percentage to those changes, which again, that's why the flexibility in the numbers of types of units. You know, if they're halfway into developing this and there's a higher demand for single-family homes and duplexes, the developer may wish to do that, or vice versa. So they'll definitely have that flexibility built in, and like I said, we'll continue to work with them throughout the process to make sure that happens.
That's great. I just want to be sure that wasn't going to be a problem. Thanks.
Delaney, I want to say this. I love the something different for Hayes. And this, to me, goes back to not putting all of our eggs in one basket. You know, we're not relying on just the sports complex. This potentially could have new people moving to our town. Of course, we'll have some people shifting, but I think this is great. And this is not going to happen overnight, but it will potentially bring a lot more people to town. I think that's great. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those nay. Passes 5-0.
You.
Next item on the agenda, charter ordinance exempting the city from KSA 14-570, 14-571, providing substitute and additional provisions.
Good afternoon, Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. Just a little bit of a housekeeping item for you today. A charter ordinance regarding financing capital improvement projects. Projects intended to be financed through the city's general obligation bonds must be authorized pursuant to state law. KSA 14-570 provides a procedure for cities of the second class to issue bonds in order to finance capital improvements. Because the act applies to the city but does not apply to all cities within the state, the city may exempt itself and provide for alternate provisions of the same by adopting a charter ordinance, or basically charter out of non-uniformly applicable state law. The charter ordinance you have before you will allow the city to authorize the issuance of general obligation bonds to finance projects in the capital improvement plan, the CIP, by simple adoption of a resolution. In addition, any bonds issued under charter would be exempt from the debt limit. Approval of the charter ordinance provides the city with greater flexibility to authorize certain CIP projects. Those CIP projects are reviewed at budget time each year, so you do have a chance ahead of time, an introduction to those items. As an example of a project that would benefit from the charter ordinance, you've heard about the Grove. The city is contemplating a general obligation bond issuance for street improvements in that proposed RHID. The charter ordinance would provide a statutory framework to authorize these bonds for a project that the city would like to undertake to help address the city's housing shortage. Additionally, the charter ordinance could provide authorization for future capital improvements and development opportunities within the city. If the ordinance is approved, it must be published in the official city newspaper once per week for 2 consecutive weeks and will take effect 60 days following its second publication. Pretty simple, straightforward. Options today would be to approve the charter ordinance, decline to approve, or provide us with other direction. This would be our action requested today.
I move to approve Charter Ordinance number 32, exempting the city from KSA 14-570 and 14-571, and providing substitute and additional provisions.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rear, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Pretty straightforward. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. How's it having the grandbaby home?
Good. Gonna be too short again.
Yeah, I bet. Next item on the agenda, resolution setting a public hearing for the establishment of a reinvestment housing incentive district.
Good afternoon, Colin Belzer, Deputy City Manager. So another issue related to the Grove. So as you know, Grove Hayes is proposing a planned development that will be retiree focused, located just north of Hayes Med. It's envisioned to include 12 sixplexes, 8 duplexes, and 50 single-family homes, as long as a community senior daycare center. Grove Hayes is requesting a reinvestment housing incentive district be formed in order to finance this improvement. So a reinvestment housing incentive district, or RHID, is a state program designed to help developers build housing. And how it works is it captures, an RHID captures the incremental increase in property tax in order to reimburse the developer for certain eligible expenses, such as land acquisition, site preparation, streets, water, basically anything that a development would require to function. We previously created the district, and this represents what that district looks like. The planned improvements do include all the infrastructure to serve the Grove development, so which is primarily that lot. And then the reason why it extends onto the Hayes Med property as well as up to Sternberg is we are planning to create a connector from the trail juncture here, help improve the Hayes Med path. The Grove has will have a multi-use path through it, and then we'll build a connector back to Sternberg. So by 2026, you should be able to walk from 41st and Bypass all the way to the Hayes Rec on the east side of town. So the developer is proposing the city finance and construct the infrastructure and utilize RHID revenues to offset the costs. Eligible costs are estimated to be approximately $8.2 million, and the RHID is estimated to generate approximately $8.45 over the 25-year term. The development agreement will be negotiated between the parties and executed at a later date to govern the responsibilities of each party. Some of the things that we know will be in that development agreement will be an escrow account will be established, and lot proceeds and Midwest Energy reimbursement payments will be available for city debt service. The excess lot sale profits will be split between the city and Grove Hayes, and if for some reason it doesn't generate sufficient increment after 6 years, the city would take ownership of all the lots. Here's a proposed calendar. Right now we're July 25th, where it is a resolution of intent to consider adoption of the plan and establishing the district and calling a public hearing. So if this is approved, we would send out official notification to the County Commission, USD 489, and the Planning Commission. That notice would also be published in the paper, and a public hearing would be held September 12th. And if that ordinance is approved on September 12th, there is a 30-day veto period for the other governmental entities to weigh in on this RHID. So your options are to adopt the resolution, decline, or provide other directions. The action requested is to adopt the resolution.
I move to adopt resolution number 2024-018, setting a public hearing for the establishment of an RHID and adoption of a development plan.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Barrick.
Mayor and I were sitting here talking, and I apologize. We weren't being disrespectful. We were being excited. This is really, we've talked about it so long. It's time for it to happen. I think it's going to be a period of time for things to happen, but to see that the community center started and now the backside, I think it's going to happen really quickly, probably quicker than we thought. In terms of people's interest, and it's something that's missing in this community. We're very excited about it, so we were whispering. Apologize.
No, I'm glad to hear my presentations are riveting.
They are.
No, thank you.
You know, I want to add to that. I've had people that, believe it or not, actually read our packets, and the excitement I hear from people, like our walking trail or riding trail, is almost complete around town. I mean, it's another something we have here that a lot of communities don't, and brings, people see stuff like that, and it could be a decision to difference of moving here or somewhere else. I mean, that's not the only thing, but it definitely helps. So I think it's great. Everything about it's great.
Any quality of life issue,
Yep.
you know, I think we try to stay focused on those. That's what I've tried, one thing I've tried to really do through my term.
Yep.
And I think we all are focused on those quality of life issues. So that walking path is certainly one of them.
Good. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you, sir. Very riveting.
We're going to have progress.
Yeah, we like progress. You're up next.
Good afternoon, Colin Belzer, Deputy City Manager. And for the latest progress report, you probably have seen that the new wayfinding signs have been installed. They were updated with fresh signs with the current city branding. Service Division did install these, helping out the CVB, who was spearheaded this project. At 28th and Hall, there were some ADA and curb and gutter repairs were completed. Also, the Service Division's employees made some repairs to the south side of City Hall. You can't really see in this photo, but you might have noticed a month ago or so that there was some crumbling occurring on that foundation, so it is now improved. The new
pee on his park over there, so we don't know.
The new fire truck arrived, is getting upfitted for equipment. This truck was included in the '24 budget. It's budget time, so for whatever reason, I feel like it's interesting information. So this truck was just under $500,000. That comes from the Public Safety Fund, which by statute can levy 2 mills. That 2 mills is $600,000. So that gives you an idea of where that money, how
Yep.
far that money can
How
go.
far, yeah.
Thank you.
A mulberry tree had shifted during recent storms, obstructing pedestrian access across the Main Street Bridge. So unfortunately, that tree did have to be removed. But now, obviously, pedestrians can access it. Staff use a roll and comb device to maintain the turf at the Arc Park. So in the picture on the left, you can see how matted down the non-broomed area compared to the broomed area on the right. And so it's a machine that stands the turf up while sweeping up the debris, which in turn prolongs the lifespan of the turf.
Is that a new equipment that we got or something we've had?
I think we've had it since we've installed the turf.
That's nice.
Staff repaired holes in the rubber surfacing at the Arc Park, which is done by mixing rubber granules that adhere to the sub-base. Staff also installed new signs down at the Union Pacific Park and Pavilion about the BYOB differentiation between the common consumption area. Staff installed new agility equipment supplied by the Friends of the Hayes Dog Park in both the small and large dog areas.
Can you fit through that, Sean?
Is that the small and the large dog area?
Maybe. Maybe. I was out there. I didn't try it.
Staff stay in shade structures and benches throughout the city parks, which is not only aesthetically pleasing, but helps keep the structures hold up against the harsh Kansas elements. After evaluating the emergency generator settings and working through some HVAC issues at Fire Station 3, the IT staff felt comfortable to start moving the data servers that used to be here at City Hall to their new location. 3 of the 5 servers have been moved, with the remaining 2 proposed within the next week. And then recently, all annexations that we've done up to date have been incorporated in the jurisdictional boundaries through the City of Hayes and Ellis County through our GIS system. Members of the Hayes Police Department participated in the Special Olympics torch run on June 20th. Community service officers also hosted the police department's lemonade stand in late June. This was part of the Arc Park's effort to raise money. And then not related to that event, there was another young entrepreneur who had his own lemonade stand and 2 satisfied customers. Water resources maintenance staff replaced the fire hydrant at 13th and MacArthur. They also had to respond to and repair a water leak at 1404 East 19th Street.
I have a question, Colin, about that. I've seen a number of hydrants that say not currently in use, or whatever it says in yellow one. What happens?
They
What is
bag them. So
Yeah.
sometimes we test them manually, and sometimes we find that they need some sort of maintenance or aren't working
Okay.
fully, and so water resources goes
that?
back.
It just
and
stays bagged until they fix it and then comes back. Okay, thank you.
So I got a question, because there's, up in my area where I turn to go home, there's been a bag on for quite a
Quite a
while.
while, that's what I'm thinking of.
So what do you do if that's out and, I'm forgetting, something would happen? What do you?
So obviously, fire department and water resources staff work very closely on this.
Okay.
And so firefighters are aware of that, and they have enough supplies in their provisions to hook up to other hydrants. But I will follow up with Jeff Crispin about the hydrant.
I'm just curious because like we have a water leak, man, it's fixed like that, and then you see those, and I'm sure there's more to it. It'd just be interesting to know why, because I'm sure you have too, had people ask, why they're bagged and stuff.
I'll inquire about that one specifically.
Commissioner Reuter has a comment.
I said just be careful, Sean. Don't set fires.
I didn't shoot off fireworks this year.
You know, interestingly, last year on the 4th of July, right around the corner from that one is where that the house caught on fire on the side of it.
That bush.
Oh,
I'm
Anyways.
sorry.
Questions are good.
Back to your
I
progress.
did this one yet. So they did repair a water leak at 1404 East 19th Street. Water Resources staff repaired and fixed curb adjacent to a hydrant on 13th and Cedar Street that they had replaced. As they get to them, they can. 2 livestock wells have been drilled in pasture 11 down at the R9 property. This pasture has not been grazed due to the lack of water supply, so now we'll be able to add this pasture into next year's rotational grazing plan. On June 28th, Melissa Dixon visited the state capitol for the installation of the new bronze plaques in the State House Rotunda to credit Hayes sculptor Pete Felton for his work. For approval of this addition, Melissa collaborated with Representative Barb Wassinger, Senator Elaine Bowers, and the State House Historic Preservation Committee. These plaques were sponsored by the Hayes CVB, and the sculptures of the 4 noble Kansans, in case you're interested, are Amelia Earhart, Dwight Eisenhower, William Allen White, and Arthur Capper. And if you can tell me who Arthur Capper is, you can get some extra, not yet.
Is he the first governor?
who is it?
He was a politician and publicist, had a newspaper. So
Must have been big to get up there.
I did I did have to look him up.
Never heard of him.
On July 10th, the CVB sponsored a Hayes Larks game in partnership with the Sternberg Museum, Downtown Hayes Development Corporation, and Nex-Tech. And during the week of July 8th, CVB staff supported the Tour de Capellen, or Tour of Chapels event, by assisting participants with their packet and swag bag assembly, offering early pickup at the Welcome Center. On the day of the event, staff assisted with setup on site, registration, and packet pickup, including Commissioner Jacobs. And then many volunteers helped, including, like I said, Commissioner Jacobs. And this year's event had 240 cyclists from 8 different states and 50 bus riders from 6 different states.
And interestingly, I don't have the data, but I'm getting it. I will bet you, and I'll look at Melissa, I'll bet you at least 50%, maybe 70% of the riders were over the age of 50, and maybe over the age of 60. We only had 4 that had to be picked up for one reason or another, and one was because of rain. We don't ever get any rain, but we had a lot out at Catherine that day. But the people that come are so complimentary of our whole community. They just have so many nice things to say. If you have an opportunity to spend any time during that race, it's not a race, it's a ride. It's really pretty special.
It's a cool event. On July 11th and 23rd, CVB staff welcomed new students and their families to Hayes at Fort Hays State University. They provided over 400 welcome packets. J-Corps continues to make good progress on the 24 Waterline project. They're currently between 14th and 15th Street and about 65% finished with the project. The snow removal equipment building is rapidly approaching completion. The concrete apron around the building has been poured, with the electrical to the lift station being the only significant remaining item. So completion is set for the end of August. The water and sewer installation have been completed along Hall Street, north of the interstate. Reseeding is all that remains. Water and sewer have been completed on Wheatland, curb and gutter have been poured, and the street will be paved with asphalt, ideally early next week. Any questions?
Awesome, thank you.
Good stuff.
Next up is Hayes Happening and Upcoming Events.
Hello, Commissioners. Melissa Dixon of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Have some things that are coming up in August I want to be sure are on your radar. First, the Fox Theater has a comedy show and then 3 concerts in the month of August. On August 7th, which is actually National Purple Heart Day, we will have a Purple Heart City public designation ceremony, which I know you know about this one. This is for everybody else. At 2 p.m. at Veterans Memorial Park at 15th and Haney. Big Brothers Big Sisters of Ellis County will once again have their Duck Derby, where you can adopt a duck for $5, put it in the race. They have so many ducks, they'll have several heats, but if your duck is the grand champion, you win $10,000. There are lots of other prizes, but it's a really fun event.
Then you can afford to feed your duck after you feed it.
Once you buy it back. On August 9th and 10th, over in our neighboring town of Victoria, they'll have the Herzog Fest, full of great food and music. If you did not get a chance to go to the Fire Station 3 open house, they're having another one Saturday, August 10th, 9 to 11 a.m. You can tour, see that great facility. And then the third Friday is still Front Door Friday night at our Main Street Fire Station. So that will be August 16th in the evening. IMCA races will be out at RPM Speedway August 10th at 6:30. That's at the track at Ellis County Fairgrounds. And the annual Fort Hays State Tiger Auction and Dinner will take place August 17th, starting at 4 p.m., so you can check out all those auction items. And this will be probably the last year. It'll be at the Schmidt-Bickel Indoor Training Facility, because they're going to have air conditioning in the Coliseum next year. The Hayes Arts Council Fall Art Walk will be Friday night, August 23rd, 6:30 to 9:30. Look for activities downtown and on campus. Hayes Rex Dog Swim and Play Day is coming up, which is a lot of fun, but you know what that means. Pool's closed. Wilson Pool closes August 11th, and our aquatic park closes August 18th, so that they'll be ready for Dog Swim Day, August 24th. And then the Hayes Chamber will host their Education Appreciation event, which is a free dinner for anybody who's in education. So tell your friends. August 27th, Rose Garden Banquet Hall. And then I can't let you go without telling you what's going on this weekend. I know I have before, but reminder, live theater this weekend. Hayes Community Theater will present Once Upon a Mattress Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the beautiful Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. You did that, Marie. Live music. Friday night, there's a concert at the Fox. Friday and Saturday, Paisley Pear is going to have mountain music Friday, country music Saturday, and then Sunday, country classics and polka at the Rose Garden Banquet Hall. And then, of course, Saturday, shopping downtown, there's the Sidewalk Bazaar from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. So have a great weekend in Hayes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, Commissioner Berry.
All right, well,
Are you awake?
ready to go. Yeah, it was actually kind of neat, Kim, that you said that sales taxes started for July look like they're trending up, because I know at the museum we're up 1,000 visitors over last year at this time, and almost 2,000 visitors over last month of June. So
That's
there's
awesome.
a lot more people in town in July. So I'm glad to see that they're spending some money to get the sales taxes back up. And same thing, 75 to 85% of the people visiting the museum now are from out of town. So that's kind of a fun thing to see. And they are the same comments that you've been hearing. They're very excited about what they get to see in Hayes and the shopping they get to do. So it's an important thing that we're doing. I also wanted to comment that, with the housing, I think we as a group have been really focused on housing, because there were a lot of years there wasn't much housing development going on in Hayes. We've really been focused on it, and today's just a great example of, we've had new housing going up in the last couple of years. But the fact that we've got a plot on 27th that's going to be housing, we've got the depot, we've got the Grove, we've got new housing in different stages of development that are going up, and with different people, different developers working on it. That's that's a very exciting time, and it's something that I think we all need to appreciate, because that's going to bring more people that are going to be able to move to town and enjoy the quality of life that we've also been working on a lot. So I think that's pretty exciting, and I'm enthused to see that sort of thing's starting to really come to fruition that we've been working on. And as the quality of life, yeah, go check out the Once Upon a Mattress and go do a little shopping on the bricks this weekend.
Commissioner Diane?
Well, as Melissa was giving us all those August dates, it reminded me that school is fastly approaching. And I noticed as I was around town last weekend and this week, the street repairs that we've done, they just look fabulous, and they're, most all are to completion or close to completion and should be done in time for school to start. So shouldn't hold parents or teenagers up from their mode of transportations. And then, yeah, I guess just enjoy the rest of summer. Oh, I know, I had one additional thought. After Colin showed us the new fire station, or the, oh my gosh, help me out.
Our truck?
Fire truck, thank you. I'm like, some station is truck. It made me think, it's been so hot, and I have seen numerous times firefighters who are outside doing their workouts that I know part of that's required, it's their job, but it's just amazing that it's that hot and their dedication to their job and that they're outside. So thank you to them. That's all I got.
Commissioner Reeder?
Only thing I had is last weekend I got the honor to read your proclamation for the Mercy Boxcar and their celebration. That was an incredible event to attend. If you haven't had a chance to go see it, now that it's been, fully complete and they've got all the things on the inside that you can go look at, it's incredible. I'd never been inside it before until then, and then just looking at all the history and whatnot that's in there is incredible. And knowing that, I think ours is the only one in the country, they said, that actually has a museum on the inside of it.
Oh, really?
Of all the boxcars that are in the country. So that was a neat experience. So I appreciate you letting me do that.
Thank you for doing it.
Of course.
Commissioner Jacobs?
I don't really have anything to add except that this whole community is feeling good about this community right now. Whether it's housing, any work that we're doing, the streets are amazing, and I notice them, and so other people are noticing for sure. But the housing pieces, my husband and I were driving down 22nd Street a week or two ago, and I don't know how many times, I shouldn't say that, but how many times he said, "What is this one?" I said, "This one's Tallgrass." And he said, "It feels like it's been here forever." And that's really a nice feeling, knowing that there's still going to be expansion of that property and that whole development. I don't know. I think back to where we were 5-6 years ago and where we are today. It's like it's not even the same place. It's very exciting, very exciting.
Well, I will add to that the partnership we have with Grow Hayes is the reason a lot of these housing developments have happened. So it's nice. They kind of reinvented themselves many years ago, and it's definitely paying off now. So I just want to kind of pat you on the back. I gave a rider a trip to the airport the other day, and they came here all the way from New York to come to a camp, and then he, after that, told me he had some people from Chicago, came all the way to Hayes for a week to attend camp at Sternberg. And it amazes me that Sternberg brings people literally from New York, and they loved it. And, and the guy was just like, "Oh, it's so open out here." Like, yeah, compared to where you're Yeah, exactly. But it's just amazing. We bring people and they enjoy it. And, as you were saying, you went to the concert and everybody just, says the hospitality they find in Hayes is something they don't see. So that's something. It's the people that live here, and I always say Hayes is made up of people from small towns, and I think that's a lot of is why we are what we are. So we're adjourned.
Who's on?